this guy comes in and comes across in front of the tree stand, and I know I don't have a lot of time here because you know, the light's starting to fade on us, so I've got to get the shot off quick.
Getting rough when I stop believing I'm not tough enough to be free. I just go hunt with you. That's when we know. That's when we go. When it's just us hunting.
I work in an underground mine. I start work at 6:30 in the morning, so I'm normally at work by 6. So I don't have the option of waking up and getting an hour or two hunt in the morning. But I do get off work early in the afternoon. Last weekend we had to turn our clocks ahead, so we lose an hour of hunting every day now. So to get out and do an evening hunt, you have to hurry your little butt off after work, and you may be able to squeeze off an hour and a half, 2 hours of hunt. John doesn't have the opportunity to get out and hunt in the early season with work. He has other commitments and whatnot. But I remember this one time he did get out early, and he called me up. He goes, "Rick, I got some great footage here." He said, "I had a nice forkhorn come walking in behind me."
We just had a small buck come in from behind us here, and didn't offer us a shot, so I never took the shot. But a little early yet too, early in the season here, so we'll just we'll hang in here till dark. It looked like about a year and a half old, maybe possibly a 2.5-year-old small buck. So anyway, good to see some. I come in here this afternoon about 3, and it's cooled down nice. It's supposed to freeze again tonight, so we'll maybe get out again first thing tomorrow morning.
Had he had his compound, John was a phenomenal shot with a compound. It was a dead deer. Well, you know, I managed to get another great piece of property this year, right on the river. It's really nice. And as luck would have it, I get out there. I go out there one weekend, actually. Saturday morning, I'm driving in there, walking back to my stand, and I walk by a hunting blind. Like, what the heck? Like, within maybe 60 yards of my tree stand. I was like, oh my God. I walk up, I look in it, and there's a set of eyes looking back at me. I was like, oh, how's it going, buddy? I had a nice chat with them and everything. So I go in the tree stand, and they must have been probably as disheartened as I was. Meanwhile, they're hunting the edge of the field. I'm in the bush. Really not imposing on each other at all. I thought it was all good until they started up the bike fairly early. They called it quits. Now, I don't know, maybe their story is going to be the same thing. So that was my introduction to this new piece of property, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what do we got? But John knows this landowner, so I asked John to dig in a little bit. That's when I found out that they were relatives, and they were only up for the weekend, so that was the only real imposition I had on this property. I always held hope out to this property once I got it, because it was such a beautiful looking piece. I didn't see anything. Very next day, back out there again, giving it a troopers try, but holy smokes, was it windy.
Still windy as hell out here. Don't know if you can see, but the trees are blowing pretty good. Got a couple hours before dark. But anyhow, I checked my trail camera, and it's just a small picture on the camera that I brought. But there's been 2, possibly 4 different deer here in the last 2 days. 2 of them being bucks. Could be the same buck, I don't know. I'll have to look at it on a bigger screen. But a buck and a doe were caught on the camera during shooting hours, and the other 2 were in the wee hours of the morning. But as slow as this season is, that's the most promising sign I've seen. A lot of shooting opportunities. All I need is the opportunity to shoot.
It was 75-kilometer-an-hour winds, constant winds. I was like, oh my God, the trees were just swaying up there, you know. It was just a great time to go to sleep, really, because it would sway you to sleep. Didn't think I was going to see anything. It was probably a half an hour before dark. I hear this leaf turn over almost, just a little crunch. I look down, there's a nice little 6-point buck standing 15 yards away. My tree stands up high enough. I was probably 21 feet up. And you have to get that high, I think, for a minimum height to get out of their line of vision. I had a fair-sized video camera up there with me, and I got away with murder. I was totally out of this deer's peripheral vision. I was up there, I was turning the camera around, I was grabbing my bow, and like I figured I was going to get busted for sure. Absolutely not, though. I just stood there. I had no idea. So I made a really nice shot on it, watched it drop within sight, went maybe 50 yards. I managed to get the deer back to the truck. I had used the headlights of the deer to do the hero narration, but it is what it is. It was a nice deer. It was a quick hunt. Never thought I would do that with this kind of weather. It was windy, windy, windy like you wouldn't believe.
Well, there it is. Not the biggest buck in the world, but this year it's the nicest, trust me. It was my first night out at this stand. Proved to be a good choice, obviously. And my first kill with that new caribou. Boy, just point and shoot, man. That thing did an ideal job. The arrow ended up going perfect shot, double lung, and the broadhead ended up burying into the far leg and broke the broadhead off. That's the end of a pretty good hunt. It was a windy night. Wasn't expecting much. I was hoping the last couple minutes would pay off, and by golly it did. So that's it for Just Us Hunting, guys.
G'day everybody. A couple weeks ago I showed you a real cool way to make a log wood stove with a chainsaw. Well, for those of you who don't have a chainsaw, this is just as good. What we've done, we went out with our small little Sierra saw that we use when we're hunting, and we cut a number of 1.5 to 2-inch diameter branches. We also cut a stump that's 4 or 5 inches in diameter, about 6 inches long. What we did was we lashed these branches all the way around that stump. In this case here we used wire, but you could use anything. We got a bunch of tinder, leaves, dry grasses, dry cedar boughs, and we put that down in the center, put a few small twigs on the inside, touched it with a match, and this thing has been burning now for quite some time. Anyhow, it's a cool way to cook your meal, and that is your Just Us Hunting tip of the week.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you too, Alfie.
This is too big!
I got some 4-blade Magnus Stinger broadheads and a multi-pack of nocturnals. Much nicer than this empty pack of nocturnals that Kevin McKenna sent me. My daughters gave me a complete pack. My Christmas is complete. Thank you, girls.
Just gonna stoke the fire. Good Christmas morning.
I was in university, so I couldn't do the fall deer hunt. I really can only do it when I get home over Christmas break.
Well, the girls are coming home for Christmas next week. We're getting into the mid part of December. We're going back here. We're going to set up another tree stand here. We got a poor man's food plot going back there. We're going to go plant some more seed, if you will. And it's not getting any easier to walk back there. We probably got 2.5, 3 feet of snow on the ground back in there, in the fields. Calling for another, well, it could be another foot within the next 24 hours. So we're trying to take advantage of the situation while we still have a little bit of energy left in our old bones. Set up a trail camera. We're good to go. In order to try to increase our odds, because it's all private land down here, you're restricted to the places that you have permission. In the wintertime, when the snow comes, the deer have yarding areas. If you don't have permission in those areas, you're not going to see a deer. So what we do is we'll throw out, the last week or two of the season, we throw out some corn. And as the snow comes, what that does is it keeps the 4 or 5 or 6 deer that you may have on that property, it keeps them around. If you didn't do that, you would have nothing there. They'd be gone to their yarding areas. So the whole idea of us putting baits out isn't so much that we're going to shoot this deer and it's going to be right here. It's just to keep the deer you have on your property.
We've got a friendly bet this year between John and Dad versus Erica and Kelly for who can get the best deer footage. I've been told that we're supposed to have the most amount of deer action on our bait. But Dad also said we had to have a kill shot. My track record, that's a little questionable. I think I just shot the recycling bin. When I come back, I want to power through it. And I always try to think that I'm going to get my deer like the first day out. It's cold and you have to deal with snow and sometimes rain and wind, and you look like the Michelin Man when you walk out the door because you've got so many layers on. And we actually ended up having to snowshoe into this bait because we had got so much snow, and you have to walk through this field to get into the bush. So it was a workout to get to this bait.
Well, it's Christmas Day, and I didn't come out this morning, but I went out this afternoon. There's lots of tracks coming in and coming out. The deer have been moving today. It's a gorgeous day. So we're just hoping that I get a good Christmas present this year.
I remember this one time our deer hunt group was hunting behind my grandfather's place and I was blocking. This buck behind me came running out to my left. I turned, fired 3 shots at it, wasn't sure if I hit it, it ran with its tail up. And my dad came out of the bush and we found the blood, and it was in the next bush just a short distance away, and that's a hunt I'll never forget.
Well, we're going out tonight. The last week of our archery season here. We've had a fair bit of snow about a week ago, so the deer are pretty much concentrated in the one area back here that we're going to concentrate on ourselves. We got a couple of tree stands set up back here, and we're going to go back and see if we can't connect with one tonight. I kind of pride myself in being a decent shot, but there's a lot of different elements come into play when you're in the tree stand and you're trying to film it, and like you're trying to film it yourself. Rick happened to come out with me this one night, and he was going to film, and I'd be doing the shooting, and it's getting to be close to last legal shooting light, and this guy comes in and comes across in front of the tree stand, and I know I don't have a lot of time here because the light's starting to fade on us, so I've got to get the shot off quick, and maybe hurried the shot a bit, but I missed. It was a little high, and it looked a little high anyway, but once we reviewed the footage, I think the deer maybe jumped the string, but other people have different opinions.
As you can see, the red light's right there. I would call that a perfect miss.
I was out the very next day and by myself, and same setup, same tree stand, and it might even have been the same deer, but guy comes in from the same direction, And miss number 2. Well, as you can see from the footage, that was a nice clean miss. I had 2 coming in actually. I maybe hurried the shot a bit, but anyway, when I released, the string hit my inside of my coat here. I'm bundled up a little more today because it's a little colder here today with the wind chill. No excuses, just a plain mess. The game's still on, Erica.
Kelly was gonna come out and film me, but she was over in Japan, and she actually ended up, she ran a race in Japan when she was there, and she ended up buggering up her knee a little bit, and she decides she doesn't want to go. So I'm kind of in a huff. We have a sister battle, whatever. I take the camera and I leave. And I just figure I'll just film myself. Dad and John do it all the time. It can't be that hard.
So Erica was going to try to do it all herself. She was going to film herself, she was going to shoot it herself, there was a solo hunt for her. And that's extremely hard to do at the best of times for a veteran. When you're fairly new at it, it's exponentially hard.
I've been hunting since I've been 15 years old. My weapon of choice is a muzzleloader. I love to hunt whitetail deer and have successfully taken and turned a record holder buck. In the off season, I get ready by staying fit, trim to the bush. And my dream hunt would be to go out west and shoot a big buck out there. And the person who influenced me the most would be my father. He taught me all about deer hunting. And I'm Scott Lobb, this is my profile.
I'm trying to prove a point that I can do it on my own. And this doe comes in. And I don't have a lot of experience with deer because I don't see a lot. I've never had a deer come in, especially to a bait pile. So I'm not sure how she's going, is she just gonna walk through? Is she gonna stop and eat it? I just didn't know because I've never experienced it. So I choked and I was moving too fast and too quickly. I did end up getting drawn back on her, and I know you're supposed to draw back on them when their head's behind a tree so they don't see that movement. But where I was, there wasn't really a tree to draw back on. So as she was walking in, I drew back thinking I will just hold my bow at full draw until she offers a shot. I was anticipating what she was going to do, but she's a wild animal, so she just did her own thing and left. I got busted. But I haven't really got to draw back on a deer before. That's the closest I've been to almost shooting a deer.
John is about as tech savvy with texting on a cell phone as I am. All thumbs, and it takes me forever to text, like a 4-letter word. And I'm not hunting that night. I know John's hunting, and I know when the deer is showing up because I have been filming John on a few nights prior to that. So we're having supper, and I said, watch this, guys. So I text John, anything yet? And I know he's sitting there and his pants are vibrating because he doesn't have the ringer on. I'm laughing at home. I said, John's gonna spend 5 minutes, typing no. So I get a text back, and I think it said, "Nop yet." Okay, there's the thumbs, right? So I wait 5 minutes, and I send him back a text. How about now? Nop. And I was doing this every 5 minutes, and finally I get a text back. It says, "I got some deer coming in." Oh, this is great. Then it's, well, I know I'm driving him nuts on the stand, right?
There was at least 5 that I could see back in the swamp, and only the one actually came in and offered me a shot, and boy, it was a small deer. It's probably the smallest deer I've ever shot, but I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna prove to Rick that I can actually hit a small target, because it was a small deer. I made a decent shot, and the deer only went maybe 35, 40 yards. It disappeared into the swamp.
He calls me back up. He says, "Listen, I just shot it." He said, "The shot might be a little far back." He said, "There's good blood on the ground and that." So I told him, I said, "Listen, if you think it's far back, just back out. I'll come over there, we'll go in, we'll take a look.
We tracked this thing down, and it wasn't that far. It was just it just got inside the thick part of the cedar swamp. And yeah, success. Finally, 1 for 3. So I'm batting .333.
His math may not be very good. He told you he missed 2. He missed 3. Number 4 is the one he connected with.
If you have videos of your hunts and would like to see them right here on this show, go to our website, justushunting.com, and email me directly. Who knows? Maybe one day you'd see your hunts right here on Just Us Hunting.
Well, I feel alone and I can't see why. And the cold winds blowing from the northern sky. I dream of going hunting. When life's road starts getting rough, and I stop believing I'm not tough enough to be free.